Ready? Okay. Call the Millwood Planning Commission June 24th, 2026 meeting to order. First order of business is roll call. Commissioner Carina.
Present.
Commissioner Beasy.
Here.
Commissioner Walter.
Here.
Commissioner Rickard.
Here.
Commissioner Mike's here. We are a full quorum for the meeting. First order of business would be the approval of the meeting agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I've looked at it, it looks fine to me, I'll make a motion to accept it.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, approval of the meeting minutes from our is it our May 13th meeting? Which was the special meeting. And you know, I think it's important to note, Bridget, I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody, so. Bridget was working on the meeting minutes for our May 28th meeting, or whatever it was, the second meeting in May. She was impacted by the Upriver Drive fire.
Oh,
So kinda, luckily her house was okay.
Yeah.
But still, the impact that had on the neighborhood. So we're gonna give her a pass. So,
I think that's well done.
Thank you.
So, I looked them over, scanned them very briefly, I didn't see any issue with them, does anybody have any edits? Okay, so I'm looking to our resident English teacher, cause she seems to find, I don't know, it's a toss-up now between Bobby and Karina. I'm finding the typos for the punctuation, so.
Yeah, I think they're
Everything's okay?
close enough, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So with that in mind, I will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
It's been motioned, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And with that in mind, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. You guys have it? Cool. Alright, that brings us to our action items. And it looks like I'm going to turn the presentation over to Amanda.
All right, so packet page 21 is where it starts the revisions that we completed at the May 27th meeting. So as usual, did everything look correct, or you have any questions or comments?
I do have a question, and this is more for clarification. On page 13, I know we talked about this for inland paper, but it says building height 85 feet. Is that what we had agreed on, was 85 feet?
So that was the existing language.
Okay,
And I had questioned that, and I believe Bobby had said that that was something that was previously approved, and so we went ahead and left it.
okay. I know we discussed it, I just couldn't, seemed like it was higher than a little higher. We had talked about maybe 4 stories or something.
And that's the one exception to it, and I think originally I had crossed it out where they had to be in there, and Bobby had caught it and questioned it, and so we put it back in.
Okay, all right, that was just clarification, so, okay. And the other thing on page 17, MMC 16.08, alley means a strip of land up to 20 feet, and right below it, alley means a strip of land up to 20 feet. Should we just strike one of those? Seems like it's a duplicate.
They're both identical, so.
Yeah,
And
one
this
is
is just telling us what she's done, and it isn't the final.
Okay,
Yeah, one is under MMC 1608 and the other was under Title 17. It was requested to add the clarification language to it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so just strike the first one then?
Well, or one goes in one place and the other one goes in
Yes.
another place.
Yeah, one goes under subdivisions,
Okay, got
the
it.
other goes under Title 17.
Okay, all right, got it.
So I've got one on 4, just because it's too obvious to.
Okay,
On page 4?
Yes, page 4. 2/25/26 planning commission meeting. Table of permitted uses.
Oh, I duplicated it. Table of permitted uses. Woo, we got through that far and that's the first time we saw my typo.
I know, how did we not see that before?
I will get that corrected for if we have our final one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Anything else up to, where were we, page 17?
So 21 was from the last one.
Okay, page
Yeah.
21, excuse me. So page 21 down through the document.
21 up to 25.
I just have on page 24, first paragraph, or the second one, point number 2. Again, this is just minutia, I guess. It says 101 East Main Avenue, ADU number 1, and then they scratched out unit A, but then the next one, unit B, and ADU number 2. Should we not scratch out unit B, because
No.
ADU number 2?
What that is to go with the sentence highlighted in the bottom. It was just to say your single family home wouldn't have to have unit A on it unless it was needed for public safety purposes.
You have a house and it
Right.
has an address it's had for 50
Right.
years and you build an ADU behind it. You wanna put B on the ADU behind it, but you might not wanna change your official address and put an A on the house that's been there forever. So A would be assumed.
Okay, I understand, yeah, I
and-
understand that
And so
part
we
of it.
start counting with B.
Okay, I just thought that ADU, or unit B and ADU number 2 is just redundant. That's all.
Oh, it says the first ADU, so if you have one ADU unit, it would be B. If you have two ADU units, it'd be B and then C would be the second one.
Right,
Yeah, so ADU number 1 is B, ADU number 2 is C.
okay,
I can see where you're at, Jay.
Yeah.
I had to read that again
yeah, okay,
to understand it. Perfect.
okay. All right,
And then I'm wondering the next one, where it says 14. Again, just because the wording's a little confusing. If we put, select unit designators based on number 15 below to best suit the project, i.e. combination of STE for commercial floors. If we put the example after that in parentheses, or such as suite 1, suite 2, and then unit for residential, and then put the example of unit,
Oh, I see what you mean.
that it just might be a little easier to understand.
Okay, so the suite examples after the suite for commercial floors such as, okay. Alright,
Yeah, I kept trying to make dwelling units into suites, and it just didn't,
yeah.
wasn't quite what we meant.
That takes us to page 25. Anything on that? Gotta be honest, I'm so used to these going, you give us, burying us in paperwork, this being the last one is, and we're only at 6:10, I'm going, wowzer, where's the rest of the work, Amanda?
Well, we still have our public
No,
workshop.
I know that, but I mean, we've been months working on this
Yeah.
and just, I mean, wow, wowzer.
And I've got some questions on the public workshop part too. I think some of that's new to us, stuff in there, some drawings
But
and
let's
stuff
not jump
that I
into that yet,
haven't
let's,
seen
let's get
before.
through the modifications on just up to page 25.
Yeah.
So, anybody got anything on page 25?
Nope.
So we can put this to bed.
Well, this was just showing us the changes
Right.
you made that we recommended last time.
Mhm.
Yeah, nothing new.
And previous, so. I
Yeah,
get that.
and-
Yeah.
Alright. Good work. Good work. Just like I said, I'm shell shocked, I guess. It's been a long day for Mike, so just. Alright, well, let's move to 4B, a public workshop presentation on development regulations.
So just a reminder how this goes, I'll give the presentation and then it's a workshop format so we can converse with members of the public
Okay.
in kind of a free, we don't have to do the testimony kind of
Okay.
thing. Free flowing. Okay, so here we are to the public workshop. And as Mike said, it's been what, a year almost on the, well, just a little under a year on the development regulation part, so, yeah, okay. So, quick overview, and this is if we have one new face in the audience. So, the GMA does require cities to do a update to the comp plans and the development regulations every 10 years. So that's what we've been doing over the past couple of years. The comp plan portion was completed in November with a slight adjustment for the climate and one sentence in housing. That was adopted in March, so it is completely done. We are at the tail end of the development regulations portion. And then we had to make changes to update everything in accordance with Washington state law, best available science for critical areas, and then updated development regulations to be consistent with the city comprehensive plan as well as internally. The workshop today will focus on an overview of the proposed modifications to the regulations, and attendees are encouraged to ask questions or provide comments for discussion. And what you're seeing here is gonna be very similar to what we're going to show with the city council in July as well. So these were all the sections as the Department of Commerce provides a checklist for these periodic updates. We are completely through the comp plan as it shows. We have now made it through all the applicable sections of the development regulations, and everything has been reviewed for consistency, clarity, and cross-reference corrections with updates as needed. Go ahead. This is just an overview on the timeline and what we have left. So we have been reviewing everything since late summer, early fall. We are now into the final stages. The workshop obviously is tonight. We will then follow up with the SEPA review on this and notification of the public hearing. The public hearing for Planning Commission will be the end of August. It'll then be a recommendation sent to City Council in September with a two-touch September, October. If everything goes smoothly, we will have adoption by the end of October and a resolution for the entire periodic update completion by the end of November, 1 month ahead of the statutory deadline.
Good job.
Good job, exactly.
Next. And this is just an overview. You'll see this in the newsletter that comes out with your utility bills this month. But this is just an overview of all the sections in the development regulations that were updated and the final deadline timeframe. Go ahead. So the first, and these are, you've probably seen these before because I presented them back in December and I think one other time. But first off, when it came to the housing in the comprehensive plan, there were two new requirements. One was we had to make adequate provisions for all housing needs. And the second was we had to address racially disparate impacts and displacement risk. That was dealt with in the comprehensive plan, and then it carried forward into some of the modifications we had to make in the development regulations. Go ahead. So, under the comp plan, one of the items we had to do was address barriers to housing development. Development regulations were probably the number one barrier that came out. because there was really no middle housing types that were permitted, it was only duplexes. We had to, reduce the minimum lot sizes, or we made them not applicable in this case, to be consistent with the adopted bulk density standards. Reducing off-street parking requirements to meet, new state requirements there. Updating ADU regulations to meet state requirements. And then we looked at either reducing setback, lot coverage, or impervious surface standards, of which we did not need to do. We were able to accomplish it without doing that. Process obstacles, looking at how projects were processed as they came through, and streamlining the permitting process was the biggest thing that came out of that, as well as streamlining the subdivision process. And then offsetting the limited land availability, we had to figure out how to maximize the use of land. We did that through the infill development allowances. One of the biggest thing was not requiring the frontage anymore. You could have a front lot line now, and that allowed for infill development in the rear of lots where they previously could not have done that. And then addressing funding gaps, back at June 9th, I believe it was, June 9th? City council meeting. June 9th, I did a presentation for city council, and we had a few planning commissioners in attendance, to go over the regulation versus the funding gaps. And what came out of that was to move forward with the regulation updates that we've already done to fill the streamlining of those, and then fill in what's needed, and basically advertise programs that are already available that do not cost the city money. So we'll be doing that. And then if that still doesn't meet the need, the next is looking at the pre-approved ADU program is the next step. But we'll see next year how we do. And then, of course, continuing to coordinate with Spokane Transit for improving transit system improvements in Millwood. Okay. So basic Washington state requirements were that development standards for middle housing types could not be more restrictive than those for single family housing, with a few exceptions that the state actually wrote in, and that was courtyard apartments and cottage housing, so we used those. Permit and environmental review processes for middle housing had to be the same for single family homes, so essentially they really don't have it because single family doesn't require it unless you're in a full subdivision. Design review for middle housing was limited to administrative design review. So again, it's considered exactly the same as single family, and it's administrative. And we'll be talking about that in a little more detail tonight. And then within UGAs, we had to allow at least 2 ADUs, which we have, and meet the, on all lots that meet the minimum lot size. Since Millwood in the draft elected to not have lot sizes, then we just refer back to meeting the bulk density standards. So it was one additional check off to streamlining things a little bit since we had bulk density standards. Under the comp plan, we had some examples for implementation actions, and those have been addressed. Evaluate and improve, if necessary, zoning regulations related to housing density. We were good on the bulk density, and type. That's what we had to update. And then that was to ensure compatibility with the neighborhoods and also address and mitigate any racially disparate impacts. And those have been done in these drafts. We had to evaluate the development regulations to remove impediments to development of low and moderate income housing. That has been done. We had to remove any local policies and or regulations that were determined to result in RDI. We did that. And we updated the zoning, development, and land division regulations to allow for infill development consistent with neighborhood scale and form.
Any questions so far? Cool.
No?
From the audience, anything? Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then for those that were involved way back at the beginning, we talked a lot about tier 3 cities. That is what City of Millwood was. And so we had to get requirements in to meet this ordinance essentially for middle housing, or in December 31st of 2026, we'd be preempted. So we have met all the requirements that we need to for tier 3 cities, so we should be good on that point. Alright, so going over some of the updates that were included, number one was making zoning changes to ensure capacity for all housing needs and reducing regulatory barriers. The table of permitted uses was updated. We added 7 new middle housing types plus co-living housing and added a bonus, senior independent housing. We refined the residential commercial mixed use to allow for 3 types, dependent on the location. Previously it was just vertical, now it's vertical, horizontal, or live-work buildings. And we also updated or added group home and supportive transitional emergency and permanent housing called STEP, as required by Washington state law. And this is just a snapshot from the table of permitted uses of all the new middle housing types that were added. The one that was not required was townhomes. That was an option, and it was elected due to the style to just have that in the UR3. Okay. And then just a few more of the snapshots on the different housing types and the mixed use. Just in general, on Title 17, we did full update for compliance with state law, conformity with the countywide planning policies for Spokane County to date. There's still some ongoing revision there, and so we'll see how that goes. But we are in compliance to date. And use and design refinements, including incorporation of driveway requirements, off-street parking design, pedestrian access and loading spaces for commercial uses, as well as incorporation of blue zone principles such as urban agriculture, and then updates for consistency and clarity. Under the residential zones, again, we removed the requirement for frontage on a public street and allowed reduced lot line widths to allow for the infill development. They can utilize a private driveway or driveway with access and utility easement to the rear of the lot.
Amanda, quick question. You're talking about the county is still working on a few things that need to be updated.
So it should not affect us because what they're calling a homeownership goal affects those that are 50,000 or greater. So essentially the county and city of Spokane. I don't even know if the valley, maybe the valley, it might be in there. So that shouldn't affect us, but there's some language in there that still has reporting requirements, wouldn't affect the code. And Millwood, as a bonus, already had interest in homeownership. So by how we redid things in the code, the cottages, in a cottage development could be owned. And so really, I think we would be fine even if we did get tagged with a homeownership goal. But right now we're not. And the remainder of it all has to do with reporting requirements and finalizing the allocations to all the jurisdictions. There was a little snafu in how they were adopted by the county. So what just came out of the steering committee of elected officials is exactly what Millwood already incorporated in. And so hopefully that's what continues through the Board of County Commissioners. They got behind the 8 ball a little bit.
So no major impact there.
No, it shouldn't. It's just making sure we have it that is clearly defined that Millwood can be exempted.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. And then we already talked about, we removed the minimum lot size requirement and referenced the adopted bulk density standards, and then utilization of the lot width, depth, setbacks, and building lot coverages to define the lot sizes. We updated the ADU standards, and that in particular is, I think, where our biggest infill is going to be. I've had more questions, comments, and interest in ADUs than in anything else so far. And just had another call today. When's it getting adopted? And that was specifically calling out the height, just so you know. They couldn't make it there with the 20 foot. And I said, well, give it a couple months and you'll have 25. And he's like, oh, we can't get there with the 20. So there we go. And then updating the parking requirements to be consistent with the law, adding the provisions for the new housing in existing buildings, provisions for the increased density bonus for affordable housing when the property is owned by a religious organization as required by the RCW, retrofits of existing buildings as required by the RCW, and finally the provisions for conversion of single family homes to middle housing. Basically, they have to meet the requirements of middle housing.
So what does passive house requirements refer to?
That is very interesting. It's a way of building. It was the weirdest information. Literally, I had to look up that RCW and read it a few times. But it was just a little bit different way of building. Really, it doesn't affect much, but we had to put it in there.
Does it involve like passive heat
Um,
or?
I thought it had to do with the insulation, so
Yeah, okay,
it was, if I remember, I'm recalling now,
yeah,
without doing a search for passive. I think it allowed for a slight encroachment possibly into a setback if they added additional width to the
That makes
building
sense,
to allow for the insulation and stuff.
yeah.
That's what comes to mind.
You build something for passive heat,
Yeah,
it holds on, you can
Yeah.
have it hold on to as much.
we can look it up real quick if you'd
But
like us to.
That makes sense.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
That's what I recall. Next. Okay, and then under Title 16 subdivisions, we increased the short plats to go from 4 to 9 units. 9 units is the statutory maximum. We added the required provisions for unit lot subdivisions and to short plats and subdivisions, and then added the provisions for administrative lot splits, which both of those are new concepts. So real quick, a unit lot subdivision basically says you can divide a parent lot into individual unit lots where the unit lot boundary could be essentially the footprint, as long as the parent lot as a whole is meeting your lot coverage standards. And then you have to meet building and fire code separations for attached units or close to each other units. Administrative lot splits are just that. It is an administrative split of an existing lot when you can meet the frontage and size requirements. And one of the bonuses of that is it's intended to be used where we can do that along with the building permit application. And that way somebody could come in, we use the example in UR2, which I think I have in here, where they were able to split the lot and then they could apply for a building permit at the same time, and boom, you've got a middle housing unit right back, or even a cottage, it's considered, right behind the existing unit. And then clarified and streamlined the regulations in there. This is done all throughout the code. Title 14 land use and Chapter 1744, again, all streamlined and updated to reflect the new local project review requirements, as well as consistency and best practices. And that's where we have the brand new project types, type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of having multiple sections, it lists out, here's the type, here's what that does, here's the processing requirement, here's the appeal requirement. So all in different tables. And then under commercial, we updated setbacks to provide consideration for adjoining residential zones. That came out of our initial surveys and targeted stakeholders, that they wanted some additional setbacks there based on the heights, so that's been done. Providing clarification and consistency for the development standards and incorporating state law provisions. We also added provisions for new housing in existing buildings, and Focus C1 allowed residential and higher density mixed use with commercial instead of having multiple pieces going to single family like we had been. We outlined the requirements and options for commercial shared parking, just to beef that up a little bit, and updated the parking requirements to be consistent with state law, and added residential mixed use parking requirements as well as the new bicycle parking. Under general, again, inclusion of state law, a whole lot of consistency, clarification. Most of this is in the processing side of things. We clarified a lot in the non-conforming use structure and lot provisions. That was a little bit difficult to read before. And then we added green infrastructure and low impact development provisions for the C2 zone. We updated the fencing regulations to be easier to utilize. Enhanced sidewalks, trails, shared roadways, and complete streets, because we didn't technically have a complete streets ordinance, which made us ineligible for certain grants. We now have that. And provided a graphic for Clearview Triangle. Okay, finally, on chapter 15, construction, clearly identified the building official. That was a little bit of a hunt and peck before. Updated the adopted building code list, and updated the current administration practices for consistency and clarity, since we now utilize City of Spokane Valley for our building permit review. Critical areas, we did all the required updates there and did consistency and clarity updates as well. Okay.
We did a lot. We did a lot.
Boy, didn't we.
Good work, everybody. Any questions?
I have a question, Amanda, using that example that you used about somebody that wanted an ADU, they couldn't make it at 20 feet, but you said a couple of months, 25 feet. When does all of this take effect? When we finish or at the end of the calendar year?
No, it's when council adopts. So, it'll be 5 days after publication of the ordinance, is that correct? I think it's 5 days after publication. So, if everything goes great, second read of the ordinance is at the October city council meeting. So we could have this updated and adopted as soon as mid-October. And then November, we'll have the resolution that says we're done. If you're gonna appeal us, but we're done. We have met our statutory requirement. But by mid-October, fingers crossed, everything goes good and nothing comes out of 60-day review that's a shocker, and that's the goal.
All right, thanks for the clarification, yeah.
Any questions out of the audience?
I just noticed when you guys talked about it before, but on the added green infrastructure and low impact development. So what is that exactly? I mean, what is?
Yes, so it was one of the things that was talked about for blue zone principles. Anything we can do to reduce like surface area requirements and those kinds of things. And I'm actually gonna use an example that we're using on the mixed use building that we got approval on. They are doing a permeable patio.
Okay.
So they asked for a larger patio in the back. And they said, if we use a permeable patio, will that meet the requirements? And I said, it sure will. So they are going to have a permeable patio at the mixed use building.
And that would be kind of like, just so rain and stuff can get down inside of it. Okay.
Yep. Another example would be rooftop gardens where they can use rain barrels and stuff to help water. Let's see, trying to think.
Green roofs?
Green roofs,
Okay.
yep, green roofs.
So something you don't have to do, but can do.
Can.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
it's a carrot.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and they were real happy with that carrot, so.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Are we all ready?
We are.
All right. So these should look real familiar because these came out of the presentation I did last December where we kind of got feedback with city council on yay, nay, what direction do we want to go? We got direction and we went. So this is now the final tables here. This is that UR1 example that I did using a unit lot subdivision. Oh, I forgot, my apologies, I forgot to change the text on the side. Originally, it was a 64 foot. So the minimum front lot width is a 50 foot, but this lot had a 64. And then we clarified the heights to say 1 story is up to 20, such and such, up to 2 story at 35, and building height is the maximum. So not a lot changed here on the development regulation side, but it does allow now for the private driveway to go back to service this example, which would have a parent lot at about 816 square foot footprint and a shop. That's about a 13.9 square foot lot, and unit lot subdivisions number 2 and 3 at about approximately a 2,000 square foot unit lots with private open space and approximately 11,000 square foot of common space. So that's a rear infill example there.
Okay, so this is where I've got a question.
Okay.
So when we have something like this, it's such an extremely narrow, deep lot, and we're saying that you can have a driveway as narrow as 10 feet?
10 feet is the minimum requirement.
What happens when there's a medical emergency and they send ladder 9? Which they do very often. How does ladder 9 get back to?
This one runs all the way to the back because it was too hard to show an example. But in this case, where a lot is this deep, and off the top of my head, I want to say it's 150 feet. If you are over 150 feet, you have to have some kind of a fire apparatus turnaround at the rear end. And so at time of project review, I would be consulting with the fire district or Valley would, obviously, because we work together. And we would figure out what is needed in the back. There have been some revisions to the fire code as well to allow for this kind of development because it was such a need. And so in short, there are provisions in the fire code that address getting the rigs in and out of there, and 10 foot is the minimum they would have allowed to.
Yeah, it seems off.
And 12 foot is
For a fire
originally what I thought we were gonna do. I talked to the public works guys, they said we can go down to 10 because that's what, to get a separation between wet, dry, sewer, water, for easement on there, we could go down to 10. So in this case, and I actually measured a few of the lots, there's a few that in order to get to the back, they would have had to have 10 because of where the existing house was. So we went ahead and proposed 10.
I've
So
watched that.
something to consider is, it may not look like it, but I would bet that the fire trucks are not more than 8.5 feet wide.
Yeah.
Because at 8'7", they have to have an oversized load permit.
Yeah.
But how do they get turned around? I've watched,
No,
I've watched Ladder
Mhm.
9.
Yeah.
And even with their little guy in the back, their turn radians, because they're so long,
Mm-hmm.
it's, I don't see how.
And if for some reason they were the last to respond and there was already emergency medical and stuff in there, you better bet they're gonna block the street. They are. For an
And, you know, and
emergency.
then the other thing, okay, there's a fire back there, and as they always do, they send like 10 units or so. I
Mhm.
mean, they just send everything and then send people home.
Yeah.
if they don't need 'em.
So,
How are the,
yeah.
how is that gonna work?
so in short, when these projects come in that have these deeper lots like this, then we do have to have some kind of a turnaround. I believe what I showed there, it's hard to have a glare. Oh yeah, I did. See the little gray going on each
Yeah.
side? Those could also not only function as a driveway, it could possibly function as a turnaround as well. But we would handle these on a case by case based on coordination with the fire district.
Yeah, I mean, engine 2 could turn around there.
Mhm.
The ambulance could turn around there. I don't see that ladder turning around
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this is like, you could do this administratively?
Yes, well, wait a
Does-
minute, hold on. This would be a unit lot subdivision, so this would be a short plat.
Okay, which
Yeah.
would be what procedure then?
Oh, now you're testing my memory. Unit lot subdivision is a type 1, I believe. The short plat unit lot subdivision, I think was a type 1. Do I have it in here? And type 1 is, director decision and notice of application.
So does the fire department
Oh, yes,
automatically get
Oh,
a
yes.
say on this stuff?
yeah.
The community doesn't.
Okay. No, they do. I misspoke, it's a type 2, because a type 2 is what kicks in the notice of application. And so yes, the public would be aware because I'd issue a notice of application with it.
Okay, they'd be aware, do they have a way to
Yeah, comment,
comment?
yeah, during the notice of application period,
Okay. but
which is 14 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, we've been talking about all of these rules and categories. It's good to see actual examples
Mhm.
of the type of thing and how it would work and who makes the decision and does the public get a chance to talk? Does the fire department?
Yep.
So that's really,
Everything is
Useful to know.
coordinated with fire district, because we would call, for example, this would have a pre-application, because remember, we put pre-apps in. And so that's where I call the agencies out ahead of time, and fire district is super great about attending those. So everything would get hashed out probably at the pre-app level on this. Yep. Yes,
Can I approach the screen?
sure.
I say hands on me. So for the turnaround thing, I just wanna clarify, so like, say this is the building,
Mhm.
right? And the road, obviously, you're coming down the main driveway,
Mhm.
coming back here. So you're saying like for a turnaround for ladder 9, which
Mm-hmm.
that is a long one, would need to be able to turn around
They would have to meet certain radius
Somewhere.
requirements.
back here, okay?
If they cannot meet those radius requirements, there was an amendment to the fire code recently to make exceptions where they could use the road or something when you use a big truck like that because of the
So-
declaration of housing emergency in the state.
Okay, so in the event, okay, so it would be part of the application process for your building code, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 to be able to, okay, I'm curious, cause that's my house.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Did I use the one next to you?
Yeah, you used my neighbor's house, I was like, hey, that looks familiar. Anyway,
Oh, I think I was gonna use yours, but I couldn't, your shop, it was hard to use yours for an infill example.
because the shop is.
Yeah, I had to
it's
choose
still
one that had a
10 feet.
straight shot.
Right, anyway, no, that's fine, thank
Yeah.
you for clarifying, I just- Okay.
Any other questions on this example? No? Okay, next one. All right, so here was our other UR1 example, and this was actually a real life example that I had received a call on. And so this one is done as an administrative lot split. So essentially in this one, it has to meet a full lot size. So this is where the, got a terrible glare right there. The minimum front lot width of the 50-foot is basically the only provision that was different to allow for this. And so it's separated off in the back. They would be able to add in one single family home and a shop or one single family home with the 1 to 2 ADUs, but they cannot exceed what the entire parent lot could have had. So both the parent lot and the newly created lot must meet the minimum lot size allowed under the applicable development regulations, in this case, consistent with bulk density and the dimensional standards. And then if a lot split results in a new lot of a size that will allow for further land division, they cannot use an administrative lot split. So the intent and purpose of these admin lot splits is to make the small infill lot like this. And then a city may not impose a limit on the total number of dwelling units allowed on a parent lot or the newly created lot that's less than the number of dwelling units allowed by the underlying zone of the parent lot prior to the administrative lot split, i.e. in this case, 4 units. So it would be, they either split it off and it goes to a home ownership opportunity, or they could keep the whole lot and build another triplex back there or something, because they would be allowed the 4 units on the parent lot total.
So if they split it off in such a way that the 4 units don't fit,
Then you can't, they don't fit. So if it does not meet the dimensional requirements, then that's the one exception. They'd have to meet the dimensional requirements. Yeah, we just couldn't say because we wanted to that, oh, well, you could have done 4 units, but no, because you're doing an admin lot split, we're only gonna allow you a single family home, that we can't do that.
so. There's minimum lot depth the same as minimum lot width.
And we discussed
How
that.
is that possible?
Well, obviously, it's gonna have to be bigger than that to meet the bulk density standards.
If you're gonna have 25 feet
Yeah.
front and 25 feet rear
Or-
setback, you can't have a 50-foot wide or 50-foot deep lot.
Oh, it'd be, your bare minimum's 50 by 50, but you're not gonna meet the bulk density on that.
Well,
So-
yeah, but also your 50 feet setback, your 25 feet front
This-
setback, 25 feet rear setback.
This actually would, I ran calculations, it would not be very big, it would be a cottage size, but they could do it.
But it's not 50 feet deep,
This lot is, how deep?
like 100 and
Oh, yeah, it's 100 something, yeah.
feet
Yeah,
deep.
that's why, the minimum lot size really didn't matter because the dimensional portion kicks in with the bulk density. And so, the whole 50 by 50, we almost could even remove the language for the minimum lot depth, I just left it on there.
It seems almost misleading.
Yeah, and we can remove it if you want to, if you think it's too misleading.
I almost see somebody, another planner down the road saying, oh, they couldn't possibly have met that. Therefore, those 25-foot setbacks can't apply.
Oh,
I've seen some twisted logic
okay.
in things. that
So do you think it'd be less confusing if we took out the minimum lot depth requirement?
And what does anyone else think? if the minimum lot depth is. Huh? Yeah, if it's the same as the minimum lot width, it's going to be 50 feet, and 50 feet is not doable. So it's kind of ridiculous to have it there, isn't it?
I didn't touch it because it was already in there, but your point is very valid. We really don't need it anymore, but.
The minimum lot depth. Yeah, was in there, but the width
We
wasn't.
could even
50.
change the wording instead of minimum lot depth, same as minimum lot width or as needed to meet dimensional requirement or setback requirements.
Be a little more what we were.
I mean, they both do the same thing. They still have to meet the setbacks.
But it would make it clear that
Yeah.
we intend you to meet those setbacks.
Mhm.
It wasn't a mistake.
Do you want me
We
to
really
add that?
did it on purpose.
I would
think
think
that's-
that.
Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah,
agree,
like that.
to be completely clear.
Yeah.
So on, you want me to do that on all the zones that have that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That gets us through, look at this, UR1, right?
Yes.
Any questions from the audience in regards to UR1? Thank you.
And you just want me to reference setback requirements or setback and bulk density? Do you just, do you want me to reference both?
I think it's the setbacks that are
Okay.
the main thing.
So, or as needed to meet setback requirements. Or, you know, what would work better is minimum lot depth, same as minimum lot width, or larger as needed to meet setback requirements. Okay, got it. All right, good clarification. Yes. Questions now?
I did, already did.
Oh, we did? Okay,
Yep.
no questions, all right.
Yep, yep, so. we're
Next one.
Moving to UR2.
Okay, oh, this was the one I was referencing of the administrative lot split. So this is the UR2 example. This would be the minimum front lot width 40, so 50 in UR1, 40 in UR2. Again, I'll add the new clarification on the lot depth. The building height maximum didn't come into play, and accessory building height did not come into play. So on this one, you have the rear of a lot adjacent to an alleyway. You would do an administrative lot split to build a, what would pretty much, I call them cottage size, but really we have several. I mean, I hate to say majority, but we have several units that are standard single-family homes here that would be referred to as a cottage size. So, single-family home. And lot number 1 in this case, which is the parent parcel, would have the single-family home with 1 to 2 ADUs. Lot number 2, the administrative lot split, came in at 4,300 square foot with the bulk density at 1 unit per 3,600. They could have a single-family home or a single-family home with 1 to 2 ADUs because it's not big enough to have much more. No more than 4 units total on both lots. That's our UR2 example.
Questions? Okay. Any questions out of the audience? Perfect, cool.
Oh, this was also the example that why we added the language about alleys not being a primary access. Because somebody could say that they don't wanna do a driveway off of here, they just wanna use the alley, but we had it down as providing secondary access, so.
So, 484 units
Mhm.
on this lot
Total.
total. But they aren't necessarily all individual buildings. You could have
You could have
So-
two ADUs inside the house and we'd never even know it.
Yeah, so like the basement is set up as an apartment or something
Mhm.
or other, that counts as one?
Yep, or the example, well, we'll cover this, Shireen's example, where it would be a stacked flat. Where the ADU would be added on top or even converted into a duplex like that. But yeah, in this, it could be a detached or attached. This would be a little hard pressed probably on lot 2 to do a detached. Lot 1 could probably accommodate a detached.
Right. But we count them even if they're not detached, is kind of
Yep.
my point.
Yep, detached or attached, doesn't matter, and the state says 1 up to 2, up to 2. Yeah. Okay. Our second UR2, and this was the example that, I had talked with Shireen about this as her property, and she knows we're using it as an example. Lot number 1 is the existing lot. It's more of what would have been more of the semi-rural type lot with the barn in the back. And so it's a little larger, not affecting any of the existing units, or I mean, any existing structures. Lot number 1, we just outlined, and then lot number 2 and 3 would be through a unit lot subdivision or short plat. They could choose, because on this one, barely, but you could meet the setbacks if you needed to. And that way they would just be a little bit larger lot. This is the other example where it uses a small home on lot number 1 that's about 1,000 square foot footprint and a multi-story example. So if they wanted to turn lot number 1 into a stacked flat, it would look something closer to the example on the bottom with a porch added, but pretty close. This one, again, in UR2 uses a 40-foot minimum front lot width, and no other changes were needed on this. Any questions, comments on this example? Nothing really changed on this one.
Anything from the audience? Alright, cool, here we go. C1.
Okay, so this is our mixed use example, and this one quite a bit changed because if you remember the discussions, we were trying to decide if Millwood wanted to have horizontal mixed use, and yes, that was the direction to go. So this is our example of using horizontal or a live-work type mixed use. In the development regulations, things were changed to, like we talked about, having the increased setbacks if you're abutting a residential zone. So doesn't apply quite so much right here because there's streets all the way around it. That would be more to the properties on Trent that back up to the UR1, but you're now seeing the changes reflected in the commercial development standards. And then allowing the bonus for mixed use in C1, just like it was previously allowed in C2, so they both have it now. Specifying the actual height of what 3 and 4 stories are, and then what the maximum can be with the mixed use. And then updating the supplementary use regulations to discuss the use of horizontal or vertical or live work mixed use. Additionally, there's a minimum percentage requirement that's always been there. I believe it's 25%, so we reference that in Appendix A so it doesn't get missed. And then for buildings that front Argonne Road, which this does, non-residential uses must front the public right-of-way. However, residential uses are permitted on upper floors and on the ground floor, provided that it represents less than 50% of the ground floor area. And then horizontal mixed use is not allowed within the Millwood Historic District, only vertical mixed use and live-work buildings are permitted. Just within the historic district so that it preserved the character of the district and didn't have like an apartment to the back of a historic building in the front.
Because a number of them historically did have.
Oh, behind? Oh. We can pull that out. That's part of the design discussion if you wanted to.
I don't know, I don't remember hearing that one before. I've got a question on this one.
Mhm.
And it's been at least a month, so my memory is not perfect, but I thought there was some, that we had some kind of language in there about existing buildings being able to be turned into residential.
Yes, it's not in this example, but we have it in the code.
This particular building could be turned into all residential based on that we have in our code?
If they added another commercial use on the site, yes. I don't think anybody would,
Do
but you
they
could.
need to add another commercial use on the site?
Yeah, because remember in the C1, C2,
Well,
we're
that's
not
what I'm
allowing
trying to
any
remember.
standalone residential, so we had 2 parcels that went entirely to single family or duplex uses. That's just not a great use of the commercial zones. So it was changed in the comp plan starting to actually require everything to be mixed use when you incorporate the
Right,
residential.
then that does take precedence over the thing that we've got in there about utilizing existing buildings for residential. Cause that looked like a carve.
Oh, that is a very good question. Does the state it's in there,
It's in there,
but
yeah.
yet the code requires the mixed use. Where's that at in the code?
So that generates a question for me.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Let me look into that one.
So here's the question I have, and I'm specifically talking this building, okay?
Okay.
So let's say whoever comes in there and they go, hey, this is a great place and we could put 15 apartments in this and 1 small commercial office.
You have to meet the minimum residential percentage, which is 25%.
If our code supersedes the state code.
That's what I need to check on the conversion, yeah. Does provision for conversion of commercial?
I could see this thing being all apartments and being
Yeah,
actually a nice addition to the neighborhood, just,
no doubt, no doubt.
you know.
I just was there the other day and I'm going, why in the hell hasn't anybody done anything with this building?
Well, there's some restrictions on it.
Yeah.
That's exactly why.
Okay,
Hey, I heard
Well, I'm sure
it's
there is,
worth
but
way
I'm
more
just-
money than I think anyone wants to pay for it.
That too.
Isn't it like 2 million or something?
So it's expensive.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of work, not as much as we thought, but a lot of work. And there are serious deed restrictions on this property that the city has nothing, we can't do a dang thing about it. It's between this property and Walgreens.
Yeah.
And
The rumors did.
it severely limits what they can do on this property.
So like no restaurant.
No restaurant that serves alcohol, I know that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
which what restaurant doesn't, so.
Which would be a great use for it, but.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, the, one of the uses that we looked at, for this was that food truck court. But we had problems with the deed restriction, because what they wanted to do inside the C1 building portion was make, and there's several examples, throughout the region, well, into Oregon too, where you go in, it's like a big seating area, and then all the way around are all these different vendors for food. There's like, they call it a beer wall, a tap wall.
Mhm.
And all that, can't do it with that deed restriction.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This will be one of ours, by loosening things up a little bit to allow things that are outside the deed restriction. This will be one of our developed properties with, I'm guessing, within the next 5 years. It's just seeing if they can overcome what the building needs.
Okay, it's hopeful.
okay. Any questions?
Just the one.
From the audience? No? Okay.
And I will get back to you with the answer to that question. That's a good one.
Moving right along.
All right, here is our design review portion. So Commissioner BC had asked us to do a highlight on the design review because it was included in all the different sections, but we really didn't discuss it much. I utilized what was already in the code and I enhanced it with suggestions from the Tier 3 model ordinance. But she asked us to do a focus at the workshop and talk through. And I can tell you, I went through every scenario using Millwood Properties and I'll report back how they play out in real life. So, next. Okay, This is just an overview. Remember, starting back in the comp plan, we provided form examples so we could envision what is already in Millwood in each of the zones. So this was what the comp plan showed for allowed uses and forms of example structures already in UR1. Next. And then we did the same with UR2. Next. UR3. And the one thing I'm gonna point out on UR3, this is another one where we had single family homes and stuff, new ones built in a multifamily zone, which is a not great use of land. And so, but if you look across the bottom, in all of these instances here, except the plantation, that's our one example, there's no landscaping. So there, when we talk about the design standards, none of those would meet what we are proposing. And that's why I'm calling it out, except the plantation. That's the only one that would. Okay.
Which one is?
Plantation being the top left corner.
Yeah, top left corner. Sorry, I'm used to the.
Across the
Looks
street.
the most like a plantation.
Yeah, it has the big grass and it specifically would meet the driveway width requirements that we call out in the code. And that is the only one, because everything else, the parking is everywhere. Okay, next.
Well, isn't some of our new codes say we need less parking?
Yes. And so that's why the design standards play in okay on that. So I just wanna point it out, cause UR3 was the one problem example when I did the real life, how does this fit into Millwood example? And I'll talk about that a little bit. And then these are the examples of some of the things in C1, like the new duplex, you wouldn't see that, unless it was with a commercial use now. Next. C2, including the Millwood Historic District, and slightly changed, but the example of the mixed-use building. And then the examples of some of the residences that have been converted to businesses along Argonne there, as well as the historic buildings in the district. Okay. And then I1 is our very small, but our light industrial zone along Trent. And pretty much just warehouse type building uses. And lastly, I didn't put the paper mill. Okay, so these again were in the comprehensive plan. These were the examples of duplex, triplex, fourplex, so you're looking at form. The example on the upper right, a stacked flat duplex, even though for all intents and purposes it looks like one of the houses we have in the UR2 zone. And then the bottom right is an example of cottage housing with the courtyard in the middle and what the view, of course, to the courtyard would be from a porch. Yeah. These are the examples of courtyard apartments, similar to cottage, but they're in an apartment form, again, with the courtyard in the middle. So it has, I believe the code says it has to have buildings on at least two sides, most of them would be three, with a courtyard divider. And then the one we struggled with, the townhomes, because of the form, ended up in UR3 only, more similar to what a multifamily would be. Okay? All right, so, of course, you always have to go back to the comprehensive plan when you're writing code to make sure what you're doing is in compliance with the goals and policies of the comp plan. So, comparing the building design portion to the comprehensive plan, Policy 04 was to elevate the site and building design expectations for housing and business projects. I think we've done that. Policy 47, encourage new and existing development to include features that improve comfort, save resources, and manage heat and stormwater through trees, green spaces, and efficient design. I believe we have done that. And implementation action number 25, evaluate and modify, if necessary, design regulations for housing and businesses, which is what we're proposing. Next. Again, just a reminder, we had the tier 3 and design review has to be administrative. So I utilized examples from the tier 3 model ordinance, but they would be an administrative review as part of a building permit application. Okay. All right, here is our exact language that we currently have in the code. And so this is where I went through and literally studied lot by lot in each of the zones, units that would meet this regulation. So both of these examples on the right would meet this requirement. not much changed in the UR one. It looks like a lot of red, but really not much changed. What it was doing is changing the frontage to say front lot line, and it addresses if that one example in UR one where the building's essentially facing the side, it addresses that as well. So it's still taking that into account. And then also it's exempting buildings that are separated from the street by a dwelling or located more than 100 feet from the street are exempt from the standards. So if they're real deep back there, they aren't gonna have the pretty front design on them. Or they don't have to. They may, but they don't have to. And then buildings shall maintain the architectural design, style, and appearance of a single-family residence using matching or complementary materials, colors, window styles, and roof design as applicable. Refer to the Millwood Comprehensive Plan table, the ones we just showed with the examples, and the example middle housing images for scale and form examples specific to middle housing. And then pedestrian access, a hard surfaced or compacted gravel pedestrian connection at least 3 feet wide. And I utilize the 3 foot because that's the minimum they say for on a private lot. And that's what actually a lot of the houses have, is about 3 feet wide. Is required between each building and the sidewalk or the street. If there is no sidewalk, driveways may be used to meet this requirement. So both of these house examples here meet this. It's a little hard to tell. I tried to tip it as much as I could, but they have a 3 foot walkway that goes from the driveway over to the steps on the first example. On the second example, that little gate there has a walkway that goes all the way back to the residence. So it shows using the driveway and one that uses a separate walkway.
So we're talking about between each building and the public sidewalk.
Yes. Or street if they don't have a sidewalk, which UR one currently does not have sidewalks. In the future, they may.
Can I ask a question, go back a
Yeah.
little bit before you keep going?
Yeah.
When you talked about less parking, I mean, I don't know if it's really going to make a difference unless they put, apartments in a certain, lots that become available.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, the only thing is when you do that, so like when they, like the example was that apartments that they just put in down the road from us, in Spokane side.
Oh, on
And
that
east.
side? Yeah.
And until they tore that one house down and gravelled it, now I don't know if they're gonna leave it as a parking spot or later put something there, but now people are parking there, so there's less people on the street, but that was hazardous. They were parking in front of mailboxes constantly and in front of people's, sometimes even driveways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And on their lawns, because to get over far enough so people could get through, so I don't know, I think that's something that's a state requirement, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it just seems.
We only
for our
reduced
area, not that,
We only reduced the parking where we had to.
Oh,
For the
okay.
most part, UR one isn't really affected.
Okay,
It's more mixed use, affordable housing, the higher density stuff.
I just can't remember.
I'm trying to think, can you think of where would it be affected in UR one really?
No, a part of it had to do, it was in conjunction with the transit too.
Yes.
And we didn't have the type of transit that, there's a type of transit that if you have it within a certain distance, you can require 0 parking.
Yeah,
You can't require any
Okay.
at all.
Yeah.
We don't have that kind of
Okay,
at this point, so.
Yeah. so there were a few reductions we had to make, but I don't think any applied really to UR one.
No, I can't think of it.
Yeah,
So Magnolia Village.
Magnolia Village, yes.
So, because part of that, I know it was, for each individual lot, they had to have at least parking for 2 vehicles.
Yes, and they still do.
At least, yeah, okay.
Yep.
So that wouldn't be, the minimum, reducing the parking wouldn't have.
Wouldn't affect that.
That
ADUs.
requirement.
Remember, I don't think we can require separate parking for ADUs. That might be the only
yeah.
one that would affect your one, and there's nothing we can do about it.
So it's, if Magnolia Village undertook the next standards,
Mm-hmm.
is it gonna still require 2? Or is it just because they started their process under previous regulations?
No, it would still require 2,
The new
for
regulations
the
would require
the
2.
cottages, yeah.
Okay,
and since there's bike paths down both sides, I don't think they could legally park on that street anyway, right?
They actually had designated where they could park through the driveway system or the private street system.
Right.
They had designated spots.
Okay.
And as we go through and look at developments, that's actually a perfect example. That's the one I use because it's the one we know the best. That's a perfect example of where we sat down and talked with fire district, with planning, and we came up with the best orientation for a site plan that addressed things and kept it organized.
Okay.
But to your point, Empire has a bike lane down each side. Is
Yeah.
it legal to park on the side of Empire?
No, it is not. You cannot block a bike lane. So as long as you have bike lanes, which hopefully we'll have even more,
Yeah.
you cannot block a bike lane.
Okay.
Yep. And if needed, we can put up, no parking signs if the street's getting too narrow. That's where we consult with fire district. There's certain minimum widths. I'm not gonna recite them off the top of my head because I'll probably get it wrong. But, if you have people parking on both sides that are cropping that minimum width down and they're not making it, you can post no parking this side of street or the other side, whatever, to make sure you have enough width to get fire trucks through.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay, so I've got a little question on C.
On C, yes.
That is so hard to interpret.
And remember, I had to write it, I used exactly pretty much what was in tier 3 because I couldn't use neighborhood character.
How do you,
We refer back to
how do
those.
you enforce it?
Yeah. What we do is when, and I've already started doing it as
Sorry,
practice.
in my opinion, your design is not like a single-family house, except I'm sure they can find an example somewhere of a single-family house that would have.
But is it a single family house example in Millwood? So does it fit in with Millwood? That's why we put those examples and
So
studied them
maybe
so
it needs
close.
to say, maybe Millwood needs to be in
It
there
does.
somewhere. Is that buildings shall maintain the architectural design, style, and appearance of a single-family residence using matching or complementary materials. Matching what?
Meaning, do we have any pink houses in Millwood? I don't know. That's the color example.
Okay, it says
Yeah.
refer to the Millwood Comprehensive Plan, but it does not say that you're referencing Millwood.
For scale and form examples within Millwood zones. And then example middle housing images, so that is what we have to compare to. So if it's one of the example images, or one of the pictures of the Millwood homes in each zone that I put in there, as long as it's complementary to those, that would pass. If they find another home in Millwood somewhere that they like the design of and I didn't use the example, as long as it can meet all the other requirements, then it's a Millwood home.
Okay, I'm not sure it's really clear that you're talking about matching Millwood
Okay,
or neighborhood
so
examples or
refer to
whatever.
Millwood comp plan for scale and form examples within
Right.
Millwood zones.
So that's
and-
referring to some paperwork.
Yes.
You know, but we're also referring to the real world around you. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure that comes through in this.
That's where I know what you're talking about, where you stand at the front and you're looking at what all the neighbors look like. That's where I was thinking we treaded a little too closely on that character. That's why we did the examples. It's tough, it is tough, I'm not gonna lie, and I tried not to deviate too much from the suggestions they had in tier 3 because we knew the tier 3 suggestions would pass.
You know, and this is great as long as you are the planner. The next one that comes through may not understand quite what we're trying to match.
It's scale and form.
Matching or complementary
Yeah.
materials, matching or complementary, what are we matching? You know, are we, oh, my garage matches my house?
Yeah,
Or are we, I'm using shingles and there's lots of houses in the neighborhood that have shingles and there are no houses in the neighborhood that have metal galvanized siding,
mhm.
you know? You know, how do you know? It's just seems like it's,
So if they're deviating from one of the examples that we already included in the comp plan or in the code, then they would have to bring a picture and say, this house is at such and such, we wanna do a design like that. And as long as it's, number one, Millwood, and number two, meets the scale and form requirements and stuff in here, they could do it.
Yeah.
But it's on the applicant to actually bring me an example or bring a feature plan or an example.
I'd be very sad if everything new that's built matches these few pictures in here. I would
Mhm.
like more variety than that.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to have C, but the policy said we wanted to elevate the standards, and so that was the best way I could think we could, but you do not have to have that, it's totally an option.
Of,
I remember having this discussion before, and it was difficult for you to try and come up with the wording that would describe exactly what we were expecting.
Without treading on
and
the.
not getting kicked back from the
Yeah,
state.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know, I think it's pretty clear and concise what we're trying to do there.
well, and
If you're gonna do something, you refer to the Millwood plan for the style and, you know, ultimately the planner or the future planner or whoever is gonna have the ultimate authority on it.
And you could try it. I mean, this is fairly new. Design standards like this are fairly new for Millwood. Outside of the, you just had to have so many windows, yada yada. And if it's not working, if it's making too much of an impediment to getting these permitted, we can report back and it can be pulled.
I think you did
Well,
I understand what Bobby's saying, but I think you
Mhm.
did a nice job on the wording on this, the way that it is, so.
And just, this is totally optional. You do not have to have design standards.
I think we want something.
Yeah.
We do want something. It's just, you know, the best way to express. Because this is all we've got now. We don't have the community coming in. We don't have conditional use where we can say, oh, you know, great, you're putting this in. Have you thought about a roof that goes this direction instead of that one? Won't cost you any more. So all we've got
Mhm.
is this verbiage.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to stand behind, to say no. You can't just arbitrarily say no, you've gotta have something backing you up.
I have the alternative methods of compliance, but it's only a very narrow band.
All right.
You wanna go ahead and give it a try? Okay. All right.
Yeah, we want it in there.
Okay.
We definitely want it in
Do
there.
we have any comments?
Any comments?
So I remember we talked about this before, like the last couple of times ago or so, too, that you guys talked about what people wanted to put. Since I had, you know, more affordable housing would be like if they wanted to try to do a shop house, you know what I'm saying, where they
A pole
built the
building
barn
style.
or pole building style. But you guys really wouldn't want metal?
They could do it as long as it's consistent with what examples in Millwood, which there are some.
Oh, there are
Examples.
Okay,
And I've already been asked about a barn dominium
yeah.
style. I don't know if those are more efficient to build, I'm not sure, but people have been bringing up barn dominium
Well, some can be
styles.
very elaborate and still pay a lot of money,
Mhm.
or you can have it more simple by buying cheaper metal, well, not cheaper, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, but
Yeah.
you still choose, hopefully people would choose a nice color and.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then I mean, for the snow, to have a metal roof really is is better if it's
Yeah.
a pitch as well,
Mhm.
because it, you know. So I think it would be just like, as long as it looks nice,
Mhm.
but I just wanna make sure that still is an option, especially like on our end.
Yeah.
That would be more. you
It
know,
would
I
actually, a barn
understand
dominium
that-
would fit pretty good over there.
Yeah, yeah, so anyways,
Yeah.
that's why I was curious.
So, earlier on, we had design standards of percentage of front that had to have interest and all of that. And you exempted it if it's behind another building or 100 feet back. Does that apply to this too?
No. Okay. It's only that other provision on the windows and doors part.
Yeah, whether you make the entire front of your house be garage or not.
Yeah, not my personal favorite, but yeah, if it's if it's way back there, you could, but as long as it's a pretty garage.
Nobody will know it's a house
Yeah.
hiding behind that garage. If it's at the back of the
That's
lot,
true.
they'll just assume it's a garage.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right, next example. So now we're gonna hop over to UR2, and honestly, I had UR2 examples coming out my ears. There was no problem with UR2. It was narrowing down the most diverse examples. And so all three of the examples on the right, while they do it differently, they all meet the requirements. Of course, the first one is a walkway off the driveway, a side walkway. The second one is a direct walkway, separate from the driveway, but kind of shared at the same time. And the third one is a duplex that has, again, the walkway off the driveways. The one thing you'll see in the UR2 now that has been added in that is not in the UR1 is actually on the next page. So just go ahead and take a look real quick at the duplex right there. See how much frontage there is that's not driveway? Okay, go ahead and go to the next one. It adds in provision E. This is added into UR2 and UR3. UR3, we're gonna talk about it and see if we wanna keep it. But this is a suggestion that was included in the Tier 3 standards, and it makes it so that you do not have a garage-dominated street. UR1, there are some that are, and that's fine, that's kind of the character over there. UR2, not so much, and so I did not think Millwood wanted that. So I took in the provisions that they had, and pretty much all these are right out of that. And what it's saying essentially is you're not gonna have example D, I guess, they don't label it, but it'd be example D, where all your parking takes up the whole front of your house, and your entire front of your house is, you're looking at cars. That wouldn't be allowed. What is allowed is up to 60%. Utilizing that. So hop back real quick. That duplex example right there, that is the minimum. It meets it.
So that's what those design standards are about, that say you need to have interest creating features. They're not talking about a garage door as being that feature. They're talking about things that are not garage doors.
So, and separating the driveways out so you don't have a whole thing that turns into a big parking lot.
Well, and the fact that for pedestrians to walk by, you have one place to look for cars, you don't have the entire width of the lot. You
Yeah.
not know if a car is coming at you.
So go ahead and go to the next slide again. So that is the biggest difference between UR1 and UR2 is that E provision right there. And then it also addresses that detached garages and carports shall not protrude beyond the front building facade, detached. So if it's built into the house, it can, as long as it meets A, B, or C on the width requirements there. And then we don't have separation requirements on local access, but in the future we could, so I added that into there to talk with Public Works.
Which one is that?
3, so E3, about refer to Millwood Public Works requirements for driveway separation and limited access from collector and arterial as applicable. We currently really don't have them, but it's a good practice, so if they do, we now have a reference to it.
Did you have a question, Bill?
I do. Several of these refer to the walkways connecting the buildings to the street as having hard surface or compacted gravel. Do we have design or code standards for what compacted gravel means?
We do, let's see. I swore it's somewhere in there, it might be in the definition. And a lot of cities, just so you know, don't allow the compacted gravel. Millwood has it everywhere, so it fits Millwood, but
And it's historically correct in the
Yeah.
historic district in certain places.
a lot of cities have banned it though.
I know somebody that spends good money to get the right kind and the right color of gravel to be compacted to have the appropriate.
And the standards don't go that
Historic
far, they
driveway.
don't specify color or anything, it's just compacted gravel
Oh,
in there.
You know, and as long as they put effort into it, that's probably functional enough.
Yeah.
But I'd hate to see it devolve into a muddy path with a couple of handfuls of gravel thrown out on it.
And then it would resort to the code enforcement process if a neighbor says, they got a mud strip. And we go out and, but obviously these are only for new ones that are built, but yeah. I mean, it's kinda like HOAs, cities don't so much, but HOAs control, you have to keep your grass this tall, we don't have any of those, so the hope is we won't have an issue. But.
Okay.
Yep, And then, number 4,
Yeah. what
was
about
for
four?
lots of budding and improved alleys, so think back to that UR2 example. That meets the city standard for width, vehicular access may be taken from the alley. And so it doesn't say it's the only access though, so that's when you go into the definition, it says that the
Okay.
primary, that the
Okay.
alley can only be secondary access.
Yeah, all right.
And so I didn't change any wording, cause it's may be taken from the alley, and so that's fine, but you still have to have a primary.
Right.
So, okay, and then, additional use and design standards, this was the provision, I highlighted it, cause this was a comment that I discussed with a resident. And they said, this seems confusing, I'm in the historic district, but I'm not on the register, so I don't have to meet those requirements. I said, no, you don't. And he said, well, when you read it, it sounds like you do. I said, okay, it does. So it was changed to should consider. And so I'm already doing this. If I have somebody call me up and say, hey, I wanna put an ADU above my garage, I look up their address and I say, oh, okay, you're in the historic district, but you're not a registry property. So it's encouraged that you look at the guidelines and try and incorporate it in as best you can. Not required, but it is encouraged.
So what are you counting as a registry property? Only the local
Yeah,
one?
so the entire district is what I say you're in the Millwood Historic District. So we have some guidelines that can assist you in design improvements to your property. But only the 2 properties that are on what's defined as the Millwood Register of Historic Places, which is call out the local registry, is the ones that have to meet, just like they're the only ones that have to meet certificate of demolition, certificate of alteration.
Right, they've signed a contract saying
Yes.
they will.
Yeah.
But
And
there are also within the National Historic Register,
Mhm.
there are certain properties that are contributing and properties that are not. So there's 2 tiers there also.
Correct, and so
the
obviously.
ones that are contributing should be encouraged even
Yeah.
stronger to,
Yeah.
but it's always a should.
And that's it, it's a should and an encourage, and so I just call them all out, I don't even look at the contributing versus not contributing. I just say, if you're in the historic district, consider these design, because all it's gonna do is improve the look of it, it's not gonna
Right.
take away.
Right,
So-
totally.
But that's why I highlighted is that was a change that came out from a discussion with a citizen. And with Brian, he called that out as well, but it sounded like they had to. All right, questions on
So,
this?
just 1 minute.
Oh.
1 second, so so we are bumped up with
Oh.
our meeting time. Okay, but what I would like to do, since we are so close, I would like to entertain a motion to extend our meeting up to an additional 30 minutes to get through the meeting tonight. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to extend the meeting up to 30 more minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Any comments, questions on your 2?
Any more commissioner comments in regards to the workshop?
Next one.
Okay, perfect. That brings us to the city planner report.
Oh, whoop, we're on UR3,
No,
we have one more.
gotta get UR3,
Yep, one more.
got 4 more pages.
So, I'll go pretty quick on this one.
I don't have it.
UR3, right there.
My pages got switched.
So UR3 is identical to UR2. It's got that same provision, and this is where I ran into, I was hunting and pecking on every single example we had in Millwood and found out the only one that fit was the plantation, right there. It met that 60% requirement, and the back is where the parking is, and they have carports back there. That's a turnaround for kind of drop-offs, there isn't a lot of parking there. And so that was literally the only Millwood UR3 example that would meet this standard now. That's why I included those townhome examples there, just to show you what could be. That would be the back of it, that would be the front of it. That was something that would meet this standard. But I did want to call out, all the ones that we show in the comp plan all have asphalt from one end to the other and people park everywhere on them. Do you want to elevate the design standards of UR3? If you do, this would do it, cause right there it gets rid of your sea of parking.
So what do you mean, what are you suggesting?
So it's exactly the same as your two, go ahead and go to the next one. It includes E in it. And that right there would keep you from having the sea of parking. You still have to have the lot coverage, so they have to have landscaping too, which obviously most of those don't. But E is what would keep it from having the sea of parking out front. But I just wanted to make sure and tell you that there was only the one property in UR three that met that. That was not a single family. I didn't look at any single family. I only looked at multifamily.
So the ones that are near the brewery that are like sideways,
Mm-hmm. The whole street side is parking.
yeah. Yeah,
So-
those are so hard to walk past,
Mm-hmm.
ones that are set up that way.
So that
Scary as a
example,
pedestrian to get past those.
is everybody can you visualize the ones she's talking about over there? They're the courtyard. We'll call them the courtyard apartments because that's what they are. But the difference is on the outside of the courtyard, all along the street, it's parking and asphalt. So in that example, they would have to incorporate either in off the alley in the back, could be parking.
They don't have it.
That one doesn't, okay, one of them does that I looked at. So they could have parking off the alley in the back in order to meet that standard. The other thing they could do is, depending on the orientation of the lot, they could pull parking in off the side in kind of a setback area. But anything to get it off of the entire frontage being parking. So essentially, if it's 100 foot wide, they could have 60 feet of parking and 40 feet that's not, because it's 60%.
It's definitely something we want to aspire to, whether we mandate it or not, I don't know.
And it's totally up to Millwood again. The other thing you could do, because I could easily change these graphics, is you could lower it, raise. Instead of 60%, you could say 80%, could be. But it's easy to enforce as 60, the same as UR2, but it's gonna be new for Millwood. Now, the other part is, if you want higher quality design, not quite so much multifamily, more of the middle housing, that would do it too.
It's true. Problem is that our UR3 has been kind of a patchwork of putting it after, we've got multifamily there, we'll make that square UR3. So it's all been kind of, a lot of it's been after the fact, not, okay, this is UR3, good place to build it.
It is a transition zone too, where the
Yeah.
transition points are. Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, you probably don't need to think about this one too much, cause there's hardly any lots left. So if somebody tore down an old building and replaced it, they'd have to meet these standards.
Does it hurt to have somebody try to meet these standards if they? It's not gonna hurt anybody that's already there,
I'm good with that.
cause we grandfather everything in.
And non-conforming provisions even address this, they just have to try and reduce the non-conformity. That'd be it.
Well, and on UR3, all of the duplexes along Stout, aren't they UR3? Did we pull them out of UR3?
I'm trying to remember, I know the multifamily down there is.
The ones up here between Frederick and Grace.
Oh, over here.
Yeah,
There is UR3 over there, the first couple streets,
there's like the duplexes.
yeah.
There's a line of duplexes and they would fit.
The one that I studied that wouldn't, and I tried to see, they could modify it to fit, but the one right down here on the corner of Frederick and, I think it's the Second Street, there's
Wow.
blue ones. They're kind of a courtyard, kind of, one in the back and the other one. It'd have to be established a little better, but those could be modified to fit the standard. Right now, it's a street free-for-all of parking. So I almost included that, but I didn't, cause I would have had to modify it a lot to show what it could be.
What does the,
Yeah.
Hunt. Just punt, no.
should we aspire to? Somebody's
Yeah,
building
so.
from scratch?
I mean, does anybody like the sea of parking along the roads? Because this will get rid of it.
Alright, good.
But like you said, I mean,
think
how much
we-
would you mandate it, especially for the existing ones that are already?
You won't. So, that's where the non-conforming comes in. So if it was to burn to the ground and you had a non-conforming site, at that time, if there's anything we can reduce the non-conformity, they don't have to meet it entirely, but reduce it. If a developer comes in and demolishes it to put up a brand new facility, they have to meet it.
'Cause I think as long as it doesn't hurt anybody,
Yeah,
I
maybe,
keep it.
Okay. I
Personally.
think we keep it, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And that way for enforcement too, it's consistent with the other one,
Mm-hmm.
so we're not,
It is easier.
it's
Yeah.
consistent, consistent.
All right, do we have any others? Next page. That's it.
Any other questions in regards to the public workshop?
I'm sorry.
Any other questions or comments in general? Nope.
Absolutely wonderful, thank God, we're ahead of schedule. You guys are amazing.
Okay.
You've been putting a lot of time and work into this.
Thank you. That brings us to public remarks, not that we not discussed. Does anybody want to approach the podium and speak? Any public comments? Okay, so go ahead. I'm just kind of laying the ground rules.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going off memory. You need to state your name and your address.
Okay,
Okay. 3
Chloe
minutes.
Clark, 8609 East Cortland Avenue. I wrote up a formal little statement because I wasn't sure how this process worked, but I could just, would you rather I just quickly shared or
Yes,
with the
go ahead.
question? Okay. So I dug in a little bit to the ordinances regarding camper and trailer use, and I'm aware that there's specific ordinances regarding use of campers as dwellings, and that's pretty clear, but I was looking for ordinances regarding long-term storage and regulations on how, size and placement of recreational vehicles being stored on properties. Are there any specific ordinances that you could point me to for that, or regulations? I was wanting to propose a review of that, just with concern of neighbors in the area. Most people with the recreational vehicles seem to store them in a way that's respectful of other neighbors, but there are one in particular and another in the neighborhood that don't seem to take into consideration, the neighborhood character, respect for others, those kinds of things. So yeah, that was my proposal. And I wrote up a specific proposal. I don't know if that's appropriate to pass out or.
Yeah, if we could get a copy, and I will look this up and see,
Okay.
off the top of my head, I don't think there is.
Okay,
But I don't wanna misspeak either, so I will look it up, but we haven't had that question yet. And as long as we have your contact info, I'll get back to you on it.
okay,
At a base level, really basic, it has to have current tabs on it,
mm-hmm,
or they can't store it at all, any kind of vehicle that doesn't have tabs on it. And
yeah,
of course, it has to be completely on their property,
right.
hanging out in the street.
Yes, well, we have a situation where there's long-term street storage and then long-term kind of obtrusive storage of a very large trailer in a front. And I don't know what the regulations are on the front yard setback or how many feet that is. So I had written up a proposal, but I didn't know if that was appropriate to submit or, if my ideas were reasonable. But I think most people with these vehicles store them reasonably, but then I was hoping that maybe there could be a review of the ordinances for those that don't choose to be reasonable with the storage.
There is some language, it's in Kyle's section, it's not in mine. So, I'll get with him and we will get back with you.
Kyle's our
Okay.
public works director.
Okay, and I have,
Code enforcement type situation.
Okay,
if anything exists. Otherwise, it'll be city council is the one that would have the ability to change.
okay, yeah, and I wasn't sure how that worked, but I thought I would come to this meeting since it was tonight, and then should I give you my proposal, or is that appropriate to do? Okay. I'm new to this, so I wrote up, one, and then I have a few copies. so
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and please feel free to come anytime.
Okay.
Okay. This is how we find out about things in our little community, and we encourage the public to participate at our meetings.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't want to come across like I'm trying to, obviously people have freedoms, but then in a neighborhood like this, when you purchase into a home in a neighborhood like this, it can be kind of, some of these things are not as expected, I guess, when you buy into Millwood,
Yeah.
So, anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody? Mr. Beasy, nice to see you.
Nice to see everybody here. Todd Beasy, East 8610, East South Riverway. Thank you for all your hard work, the commissioners and Bridget, and especially Amanda. You have done a wonderful job. Your hard work is recognized. Also, I just want to mention that on July 4th, there's a bike ride and walk at 9 a.m. in the morning. Hopefully you've seen some of these around, and hope to see you there, 9 a.m. Behind Bottles. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Beasy, I do have a question for you,
Go ahead.
or just anybody else. How is the farmer's market doing now that it's moved back over to the church?
It's doing, we've got a person from Hermiston, Oregon bringing berries in. Today she had 1, 2, 3 different types of berries, and they look delicious. And then we have other vendors, and we're doing okay, and we hope it's gonna get more busy as people realize that we're there and we get a few more vendors and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'd like
We're
to-
enjoying it over there.
Okay, good. I personally, I miss it because I could walk.
You could walk, yeah.
But I'm gonna be really curious to maybe hear a report from you maybe on how, after Argonne, after we talk about what's gonna start on the 6th of July, to see if that affects the market.
Oh, yeah.
I would hope that by going back over there, people have easier access
Yeah.
because they can
Yeah.
avoid Argonne,
There's
so.
Marguerite to get to it, yeah.
So, but thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I miss you. I'm just gonna tell you that, I miss you.
Well, I miss you coming over and buying cookies.
Okay.
One heads up, I've been to a number of the businesses in the last couple days, and just a heads up, you probably already know, they are very unhappy about construction 2 summers in a row, even though it's on the south side of the tracks. I don't ask them about it, they tell me about it. So, just a heads up.
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if we don't have any more public remarks, it's time for Amanda's remark.
Okay, I will go real quick. I think you already know, cause I gave a heads up last time, the permit was issued for the mixed use building, version 3. It is have we broken ground over there?
Yes.
Okay.
Chopped up our sidewalk and closed it off so we can't walk on that sidewalk.
Yes, and we conversed with Kyle on that. Normally, just so you know, we would have a detour that says go across the street, and go. There's no sidewalk across the street.
Parking across the street.
Yeah, so we did the best we could on the detour there, and they'll get through that part as quickly as they can, but it's probably gonna be pretty long-term during construction for safety purposes.
Hopefully they're paying for their permits for their right-of-way permit.
They did a right-of-way permit, yeah. And then, let's see, Millwood Preschool Tenant Improvement Review Approval on Grace. Assisted with code enforcement, obviously we know, on 3019 North Argonne, that's all good now. 3501 North Argonne, we had business license review and approval. And off the top of my head, I can't remember, I should have wrote down what the business was. Do you remember?
That the automotive repair?
I'm just-
Yes. It is, yes, yes, thank you. I usually put down what it is and I didn't. And then, finally got, 8605 East South Riverway, out for approval on the shoreline, tree removal and pruning over there. And then Marietta, we had a fence permit review and approval. The only other thing that's not periodic update is, we are in the process of doing the Planning for Recreation Access PRA grant. That is in progress. We already have, letters of support from Hutton Settlement, West Valley School District, the mayor, and I believe we have, can I say? No, not? We have one working on
Yeah.
from Millwood Neighborhood Advocates. And what this will do is get through the environmental and cultural resources reviews that will be required for future grants. And then hopefully, right now, we're running the budget. I'm proposing to try and do a 90%. Oh, first of all, we'll finalize the master plan, incorporating in the final theme and the how the historic fountain portion of the wading pool could be incorporated into a larger splash pad. So we'd be working with Historic Pres on stuff on that. So that'd be part of the grant. The second part would be doing the construction plans for the project. The goal was to get it to shovel ready stage. Running the numbers, we'll see. I've got to meet with the consultant on the master plan and see if we can get there. I'm shooting for a 90% set. We'll see if we can get there. Might be a 60, but we'll see. We're trying to cover as much as possible. And then from there, if we win, that money could be used as a match for the development side. So, fingers crossed. We'll know more in the fall. Okay,
Is that it?
that's it, because y'all know all the periodic update stuff.
Good. No, thank you.
Lived that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, commissioner comments, I'm gonna go first because I got a couple. I am curious if 3014 North Marguerite pulled a demolition permit for the garage they knocked down.
That sounds very, very familiar. Is that our one under Spokane? Oh, you haven't been CC'd. Okay, off the top of my head, I am going to say that is the one that was permitted under Spokane County originally and extended.
Okay.
It sounds very familiar. I hope I have the address right.
Okay.
Because I had somebody else call in and make sure they had a permit. It's just sat for a long time, and so it just received an extension. They have to get it done this year.
Okay.
Or it's null and void.
Okay.
So, and it's a detached garage.
Yeah, it is. So, but I mean, it's already knocked down.
It would have been under the Spokane County permit.
Okay, cool, awesome. Just was curious.
And I'm pretty sure that was the
I
address.
just have an interest in that, so
Yeah.
just okay. So kind of want to just highlight a couple of things. As most of you know, I sit on the Transportation Advisory Committee for SRTC. Those meetings are always the same day. And a couple of things that I would encourage you to take a look at. I'm in the construction industry. I'm very familiar with the North Spokane Corridor project. But today they did a flyover type presentation of it. It's probably on the Washington State DOT website. And I would strongly encourage everybody to take a look at that. It's really pretty interesting what they are going to do on the surface streets by I-90 between Hamilton and the Sprague exit. Okay, so that's going through all through East Central, but I mean Havana, Freya, Carnahan. It's really interesting what they're going to be doing with that. They also expect to be to Trent by the end of 2029. So that'll be another set of off ramps, and they kind of threw a date out of 2034 of completion of everything. When you look at what they're going to do along I-90, it's amazing. Okay. Then the other thing, just a kind of a note to bring up, it should be on the ballot in August, I think. They want to make sure to renew their 0.02% sales tax that goes to STA. It's not a new tax. It's a sales tax that was voted in 2016. If approved, it'll be through 2048. If not approved, it expires January 1st, 2029. So pretty important to keep STA funded. So that's my report from that meeting. And other than that, I will go to Commissioner Carina. Any comments?
Yes, I would like to thank the commission and the city, so Amanda and Bridget and everyone involved for providing a really supportive and wonderful group of people to work with, and it's truly an honor, and I've learned a lot coming into our comprehensive plan update, having to kind of speed my way through and get up to speed, but it's truly been a pleasure, and very much looking forward to seeing more positive reinforcement and direction for our wonderful city and for the future of our city. So, and it's wonderful, thank you to the public for being involved, that's very important, and it's wonderful to see everyone here, so
Great.
thank you all.
Thank you. Well, we're happy you're here. Commissioner Beasy.
I don't really have anything today.
Cool, good. Commissioner Malta.
I don't have anything additional either. Asked all my questions, so.
Here you go. Commissioner Rickard.
Okay.
And the only other thing I got is Millwood Days is coming up. And I know that we have talked about our next meeting is a joint meeting with the city council on July 14th. And we'll make a decision at that time if we're gonna have our regular scheduled July.
Well,
meeting.
or we can make the decision now. So what the plan for that meeting is to do this presentation, essentially, maybe with a couple of corrections. I'm not sure, or just this presentation, cause we really didn't change, oh yeah, we did, we have to change the zones, adding the language on it. And so that's what, the July combo meeting is gonna be, basically to have you guys there to answer any questions from council, et cetera, et cetera. Because we made a few changes, tonight, we can meet in July, for the regular meeting, or you can just go straight to the public hearing, if you feel confident with the language. I would probably recommend, because we did make a few changes, that we do have the July meeting, because what we don't wanna do is a bunch of changes for the public hearing. I'd rather get these incorporated, I'll get it out for 60-day review, and we go ahead and do one more, we're all ready for the public hearing
Okay.
kind of
And the
meeting.
public hearing is when?
August,
In our August meeting?
August 26th,
At our August meeting.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's totally up to you guys, if you don't think we need the July meeting, we don't have to, it's whatever your comfort level is.
I would be unable to attend the July 4th,
That could
July
be,
14th and the
Okay.
July 29th
Okay.
meetings.
And I
Okay,
will
that's
not
it,
be
you're
at,
out of here.
I will not be at the July 29th one either, or the July 14th one.
Cool.
And no, we're not traveling together.
No, that's okay. So, both of you, thank you for saying that. We have to, all three of us have to be at the 14th and the 29th meeting, otherwise we can't do any business. Do you guys have any plans?
I'll be.
You'll be here? Okay, Jane?
We'll have a lot of fun, just the
We
three of
will.
us.
Yeah, so all these changes and stuff?
Yeah,
They're
I'm gonna come up with a much bigger list.
Here we go, okay. All right, well then, I would think that it would behoove us to keep our normally regular scheduled meeting based on that.
Okay.
I would rather be more prepared for the public hearing than not be prepared for it. So,
okay, and you'll get everything mailed and emailed as usual. But yeah, essentially I'll just update as we talked about tonight.
Cool, good, okay, cool. All right, well then, and when did we say Millwood Days was?
August 22nd.
August 22nd. Okay, great, thank you so much for that. All right, so we went through our next meeting, it's July 14th. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and before we vote, thank you for everybody extending the 30 minutes, so we did get through it, and I appreciate that. If there's no further discussion on the matter, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has it.